Well, this is cold. Like, really cold. You've just been born in what's essentially an ice cave your mother dug months ago. That's right. The largest land carnivore on Earth starts out smaller than a house cat, weighing barely over a pound. Your eyes aren't even open yet, and you're completely helpless, which is probably for the best. Because if you could see how hostile this environment is, you'd have some serious concerns about your life choices. Your mom, weighing around 500 pounds, could accidentally crush you just by rolling over, but somehow she's the most careful creature on the planet right now. She hasn't eaten in 4 months and won't eat for another few, yet she's producing the richest milk in the animal kingdom to keep you alive. It's like she's running on pure determination and stored fat. The den is pitch black and surprisingly cozy, maintained at around 40 degrees Fahrenheit, while outside it's -40. Your mom is basically a living furnace, and you spend your first weeks doing absolutely nothing except eating and sleeping. No adventures, no exploring, just pure survival mode. By the time you hit 2 months old, you've grown to about 20 pounds, and your eyes finally open. The world you see is still just the inside of a snow cave, but you're getting restless. Your sibling, because you're rarely born alone, is equally eager to see what's beyond this frozen nursery. Your mom senses this and knows it's time. She starts digging, breaking through the wall of snow that's protected you from the Arctic winter. The first time you step outside, the brightness is overwhelming. Everything is white. The sky, the ground, the horizon, all various shades of white and blue. The wind hits you like a physical force, and suddenly that cozy den seems really appealing. But there's no going back now. Your mom immediately starts teaching you the most important skill you'll ever learn: how to walk on ice without looking like a complete fool. Her massive paws, almost a foot wide, distribute her weight so efficiently that she barely leaves prints on the snow. Your tiny paws are already showing the same adaptation, with small bumps on the bottom that work like natural tire treads. You take your first wobbly steps, fall on your face about 17 times, and eventually get the hang of it. Now comes the hard part. Your mom needs to eat desperately, and that means you need to follow her to the sea ice where the seals are. This journey can be anywhere from a few miles to over 60 miles, depending on where she chose to den. For a 3-month-old cub who just learned to walk last week, this is basically a marathon. You trudge through snow that's sometimes deeper than you are tall. Your mom occasionally stopping to let you catch up or carrying you when you simply can't go on. The temperature is still well below freezing, but you're surprisingly comfortable. That fluffy white fur you're sporting isn't actually white at all. It's transparent and hollow, trapping air for insulation. Underneath is black skin that absorbs what little sunlight exists up here. You're basically wearing the world's most advanced winter coat. After what feels like forever, you reach the sea ice. This is where your mom becomes a completely different animal. On land, she was careful and nurturing, but out here she transforms into a patient, calculating hunter. She's showing you the family business, and it's time to pay attention. Seals, specifically ringed seals and bearded seals, are your primary target. They're fast in the water but need to breathe, which means they create breathing holes in the ice. Your mom can smell these holes from almost a mile away, which seems impossible until you remember that your species has been perfecting this skill for hundreds of thousands of years. She approaches a breathing hole with movement so slow and deliberate that she barely seems to be moving at all. You and your sibling watch from a distance, learning through observation. She waits, and waits. For hours sometimes. You're getting bored, cold, and hungry, but she doesn't move a muscle. Then, with explosive speed that shouldn't be possible for an animal her size, she strikes. One massive paw smashes through the ice as a seal surfaces for air. The impact alone is probably fatal, delivering over 100 pounds of force. She pulls a 100-pound seal onto the ice like it weighs nothing, and suddenly all that weighting makes sense. This is dinner for the next few days. Your first taste of seal meat is a revelation. It's rich, fatty, and loaded with the calories you need to survive in this frozen wasteland. Your mom eats first and fast, consuming the blubber, which is the most calorie-dense part. She'll eat up to 150 pounds in one sitting if she can, because meals are never guaranteed up here. You and your sibling get the scraps, which are still substantial. An Arctic fox has been watching from a safe distance, waiting for you to finish so they can have whatever's left. That's the Arctic food chain. You eat, the fox eats your leftovers, and the ravens eat what the fox leaves behind. Nothing goes to waste when calories are this hard to come by. Over the next year and a half, you stay with your mom, learning everything she knows. You learn to hunt, though your success rate is abysmal at first. Seals can see you coming from a mile away, literally, and you don't have the patience yet to wait motionless for hours. You try the smash through the breathing hole technique and miss completely, ending up soaking wet in water that's below freezing. Somehow you don't die. Your fur dries quickly and your thick layer of blubber keeps your core temperature stable. You're built for this environment in ways that are almost supernatural. You also learn about the other creatures sharing this frozen world. There are walruses, massive and aggressive, not worth the fight unless you're truly desperate. There are other polar bears, some friendly, most territorial, all to be approached with caution. And there are killer whales, which you see from a distance. Your mom makes sure you understand. The ice is safety. The open water is danger. As long as the sea ice exists, you can hunt, travel, and survive. Without it, you're just a very large, very hungry bear with nowhere to go and nothing to eat. By the time you're 2 years old, your mom does something that breaks your heart. She leaves. It's not cruel, it's necessary. She's ready to mate again, and male polar bears, including potentially your father, though you'd never know him, see cubs as competition or worse, as meals. So she chases you off and suddenly you're on your own. You weigh about 200 pounds now, still small by polar bear standards, but capable of surviving independently. Your sibling went their own way too, and you'll probably never see them again. This is the loneliness of being an apex predator in the most hostile environment on Earth. Your teenage years are rough. You're not big enough to compete with adult males for the best hunting spots, and you're not experienced enough to catch seals consistently. You scavenge when you can, finding carcasses left by more successful hunters. You travel vast distances, sometimes swimming for days across open water, your massive paws working as efficient paddles. You can swim for over 400 miles without stopping, which is absolutely insane, but also necessary in a world where the ice is becoming less reliable every year. One summer, you notice something's different. The ice melts earlier and forms later than you remember from your childhood. The distance between ice floes is greater. You find yourself on land for longer periods, forced to survive on bird eggs, vegetation, and whatever else you can scavenge. It's not enough. You're burning more calories just existing than you can possibly consume. For the first time in your life, you understand real hunger, the kind that makes you weak, desperate, and willing to take risks you normally wouldn't. You spot a village in the distance. Human structures, unfamiliar and intriguing. The smell of food is overwhelming. You know instinctively that this is dangerous territory, but hunger overrides caution. You approach slowly, testing the air with each step. Dogs bark, alerting the humans to your presence. They come out with loud noises and bright lights, things that scare you but don't override the hunger. One human holds something that makes a cracking sound, and suddenly the snow near your paw explodes. That gets your attention. You retreat, not out of defeat, but out of survival calculation. Whatever food they have isn't worth whatever that weapon was. By age 5, you're approaching your prime. You've grown to over 800 pounds, most of it muscle and fat perfectly distributed for Arctic survival. Your hunting success rate has improved dramatically. You've learned to predict seal behavior, to read the ice for the best ambush spots, and to wait with the patience of a glacier. You've survived storms that would kill most creatures, temperature drops that seem impossible, and periods of hunger that tested your will to live. One spring, you encounter a female. She's not interested in fighting or fleeing, which is new. It's mating season, and for the first time you understand what all those violent confrontations between males were about. You're not the biggest male around, not even close, but you're here and she's receptive, and that's enough. The courtship is surprisingly gentle for animals your size. You play fight, swim together, and eventually mate. Then, just like your father did with your mother, you leave. Your role is over. If she successfully gives birth in 9 months, you'll never know, and you'll never meet your offspring. That's just how this works. Now you're an adult polar bear in your prime, lord of the Arctic, apex predator of the frozen north, and you should feel invincible. You can smell seals from miles away, wait in ambush for hours without moving a muscle, deliver killing blows with 1,200 pounds of force, and survive temperatures that would kill most creatures in minutes. You're perfectly adapted for this environment, a masterpiece of evolution refined over hundreds of thousands of years. But as you stand on an ice floe that's noticeably smaller than the ones you remember from your childhood, watching the open water expand year after year, something feels wrong. The ice forms later each fall and melts earlier each spring. The seals are harder to find because the breathing holes are more spread out. The summers on land are longer and hungrier. You're not struggling yet, not really. But you can feel something shifting in your world, something beyond your control or understanding. You're a polar bear, the most powerful predator in the Arctic. And for the first time in your species' history, your greatest threat isn't another predator, lack of food, or even the brutal cold. It's the climate itself, changing faster than you can adapt, warming the only world you know how to survive in. You have no concept of climate change, no understanding of what humans are doing thousands of miles away. All you know is that the ice you depend on for everything is becoming less reliable, and there's absolutely nothing your strength, size, or hunting skills can do about it. But for now, you're still here, still surviving, still the undisputed king of the ice. And tomorrow, you'll hunt again. Because that's what polar bears do. That's what you do. Until you can't. If you want to experience more impossible lives and see the world through different eyes, subscribe to the channel and hit that notification bell. And let me know in the comments, which animal should we become next? A jaguar in the Amazon? A peregrine falcon diving at 240 mph? The choice is yours, and we're just getting started.